Watch more, feel more. Dell.
$143 for 8 then for the West Indies after being asked to set a score by South Africa. This is Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell, with Tom Moody and Daren Ganga. Let's go to Daren first up. 143. How are you feeling if you're a West Indies fan, Daren?
Not so comfortable. This is surely below par, considering the fact that the West Indies they were 43 without loss, with Evan Lewis scoring a blistering half century. Many would have been surprised with the fact that Chris Gayle came at number 4, and we saw in the end there that Andre Russell and Shimron Hetmeyer, to a lesser extent, being sacrificial lambs, so to speak, for Chris Gayle continuing to be at the forefront in this batting lineup. In my estimation, if anyone is to be sacrificed in this batting lineup for having a good start, it should have been Chris Gayle as against Andre Russell and Shimron Hetmeyer, both having less than 3 overs to bat in the innings. But the West Indies will feel that they've squandered a very good start. Lendl Simmons, the batsman in this West Indian side, showing symptoms of that first game, being bowled out for 55, not getting the balance to his innings right. And the West Indies will be disappointed that they ended on that score of 143.
All right, there is a lot to take away from Darren Ganga's opening thoughts. So let's get straight into it with Tom Moody as well. We talk so much about entry points, Tom, as being key more than batting order, numbers, and positions. Would you have asked Chris Gayle to walk in the 13th over?
No, not after the start they got. They got a good, solid start. What West Indies have got is great depth in their batting, and they've got great power in their batting. And they've also got players that are coming from some good form out of the recent IPL. Hetmeyer is one of those. So I just felt that there was a missed opportunity there. 20 runs minimum light of what they should have been. Lendl Simmons, I just could not, for the life of me, understand how he got himself into such a deep hole. When one batsman accumulates 30% of the deliveries that are available to you as a team and only scores 16 runs, you have to really question the whole strategy about what's going on out there. He faced 35 balls for his 16, and I'm sorry, that is an absolute shocker. And we all know it can happen at times, but on the World Cup stage, such a pressure moment, it just wasn't good enough. But overall, the team, I get the strategy around West Indies cricket. They're a power side. They back themselves to hit boundaries, 6s and 4s. They hit 9 4s and 8 6s. But what they did also was had 57 dot balls. Teams target around 35 dot balls in an innings. They had 57. So that's where your 20 runs has gone missing, if not more.
Wow. All right. Let's try and make sense as it happened, right? So let's try and make sense, Darren Ganga, as to why Evan Lewis and Lendl Simmons were effectively batting on different surfaces. Like Tom says, it can happen, but why? Why? Can you explain what went wrong with Simmons?
Well, I think Lendl, he probably was given a role to play in this batting lineup, but I think he just didn't get it right. Lendl Simmons usually is a boundary hitter. I don't think the surface was a surface that would have warranted that type of innings from Simmons. He didn't even score a boundary in his sort of sojourn at the crease. So it happens sometimes. I also think that the West Indies had an opportunity at the halfway stage of the innings during that drinks break to have a chat with Lendl Simmons for him to shift gear. That didn't happen at all. I mean, yes, he tried to push things on later on when he lost his wicket, but it's just not the right type of innings in T20 cricket. If it's not happening for you, then you've got to make a decision for yourself. And Lendl Simmons, to a lesser extent, would have contributed for this below par score that the West Indies achieved today.
Now, this sort of innings, Tom, it often triggers the debate, especially amongst us novices, that why can't you strategically use the retired out? There's a likelier chance that he's not going to get out of this hole than he is. Does that at all come into the dugout, or is this just for all of us outside of it?
Yeah, look, I think everyone's talked about it, and even in the various franchise leagues that I've been involved in around the world, it has been a discussion point, particularly in the Caribbean Premier League, where there's a little bit more ability to be creative with the rules of the game. And that is one that has been discussed, but there is a strong debate either side for that, because it can be a humiliating ploy to sort of get the hook out and say, thanks, you're off now. So yeah, look, it is something that everyone's going to think about. The one thing that I'd like to point out is Lendl Simmons is a very fine player. And Daren's absolutely right. He's a boundary hitter. That's how he's built his reputation. That's why he's had such a successful career. But asking him to play a specific role, which is against his nature, which is against his strength, that puzzles me in itself. If they wanted that accumulator type player, they should have played Roston Chase. That's what he does and does very well. So again, horses for courses need to be to be respected. You can't ask someone who's an instinctive boundary hitter to suddenly, this all-important game, I want you to pull the reins back and rotate the strike and be the anchor for us, when he's never done that really throughout his career successfully.
Yeah, fair enough. Darren, you want to quickly weigh in on your point on the retired out?
Tom he's absolutely right. And I think the same goes for Chris Gayle as well. You can't ask Chris Gayle to also play that role. And I think that's what they're trying to do. Chris Gayle's contribution and value to this team is his ability to hit boundaries. So they're trying to push players into playing different roles at the expense of other players who are sitting on the sideline and who are not getting an opportunity. That's where there's a little bit of distortion in this side. That's why they're not playing to their true potential as a team. There's a little bit of hesitation, and it's not something that the West Indies will want very early in a World Cup, especially when you're in a group with a lot of top teams. You already won, lost down. So I think they need to get that sort of thinking right. The strategy must be spot on, and players must be feeling very comfortable with playing to their strengths in T20 cricket.
Yeah. What I find curious about this innings in particular, though, Tom, is I thought they were going to go that way, in spite of the Simmons shocker, that Pooran worked in a three, so everyone now was going to just jump up and Chris Gayle would be eventually sacrificed. What prompted Gayle to walk into the 13th over to then join a struggling Simmons already? Couldn't they have at least tried to change things there?
Look, again, without being in the inside, it's hard to know what prompted it. The one thing that stands out to me, the possibility, is that the aura and the respect that Chris Gayle's got, not only within that dressing room, but within the game of cricket, not only in T20 cricket, in all formats, because we do forget that, Chris Gayle has played over 100 test matches as well. But sometimes you need to put that reputation, that backlog of performance into perspective to what the here and now is, and what do we need as a team. So possibly maybe that blindsided them a little bit with their decision making. At the end of the day, I've worked with Chris on a number of occasions. He's a terrific guy. He would totally understand if you had that sort of conversation. Hey, listen, mate, just drop down to 5 or 6. The way we're tracking at the moment, I want to put in, A, B, or C, and let's run with that. I'm sure he would get it. He understands the game. He's got enormous respect for the team, and the team's success has always been his priority.
Ronak, if I can just add to that, I mean, there's also an ICC T20 World Cup in 2023. And if you look at this side, you would think that Nicholas Pooran, Shimron Hetmeyer will feature heavily in that West Indian squad that plays in that next World Cup. So you've got to also be thinking about players grooming themselves for that next World Cup. So that's why I think that's an argument that will push in favor of Hetmeyer being given the role to bat at number 3 or number 4. If the situation warrants, both himself and Nicholas Pooran must be the two players that they invest in when there are opportunities for the West Indies to capitalize with the bat.
All right, South African batters already on their way out. Now, are we gonna see a cruise here? Because something tells me in South Africa it's never going to be a cruise. Tom Moody, what's going to happen here? Is South Africa favourites?
You would think that South Africa are favourites at this point, but we also got to remember that they started this tournament with a little bit of a stutter. They've already have also started this particular match with a bit of a stutter with the sudden exclusion of Quinton de Kock. So there's a few little issues going on with regards to the confidence around their batting, but 143 I don't think is enough on that surface.
Daren, Akil Hussain has new ball in hand. He's going to play a big part if the West Indies are to make a fight of this.
He will have to, but I think Hayden Walsh Jr. has a bigger responsibility, being that one change to the West Indies team from the last game. He is a genuine wrist spinner that turns the ball away from the right-handers. They're investing in him. He has to come good. He hasn't played a T20 international against South Africa, so there's a certain amount of newness to him. Pollard has to invest in his attacking bowlers to pick wickets up very early, to kind of control this game and to apply the pressure on South Africa if the West Indies are to win. But an easy option for South Africa in this situation.
Very well. Looks like South Africa in pole position. Thank you, Daren. Ganga. Tom Moody, more from you at the end of the game on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell.
Watch more, feel more, Dell.